Welcome to Basement Discussions, presented by FXbyAidan. This is our newest series and our first episode. We're going to be discussing a series of sports questions asked by Zach Miller, man in the camera. I'm Mason Greenwald, and this is Aiden Hassan.
All right, so your first question is, how does this season affect Bryce Harper's looming free agency? Who would like to start?
I'll start. So obviously Bryce Harper is not hitting too well this year. I believe his average is around 217, 218, somewhere in that area. But his on-base percentage is still very high, and he leads the league in walks. And his power's there. He hit a home run a couple days ago, just hooked one foul yesterday. He's hit 24 this year. Honestly, I don't think it'll make that big a difference. Like, yes, his average is down, but every other stat's very good. And when you look at it, a walk and a single, they help the team the same amount.
I mean, I agree and I disagree. Obviously, when you have a big name going into free agency like Bryce Harper, teams are going to be all over him, right? But you have to look at it statistically. And his bat this year has obviously been down, as he referenced. And yes, his other stats are just as good as they have been in the past. But what does this mean for the future? You want to look at projectability when you're signing a big name to a long-term contract. It's not very projectable when you have a 23, 24-year-old, 25-year-old who's hitting 217. You don't want to see that. He has a decline in his career, it looks like, right now. But
again, he is a 25-year-old who has a batting average in his career around 270, and he's coming off a season where he hit 319, and he's 2 years removed from a 330, 42 home run MVP caliber season, or MVP season. He won it unanimously as a 22-year-old. So if you want to talk about projectable, he's the youngest player in the free agency market this year, and he's a superstar. Like, how is that not projectable? What team wouldn't want to add Bryce Harper?
There are plenty of teams that want to add Bryce Harper, but you need to have the money to do it, and you're going to be paying a lot more just because the name that goes with him. Just because he's Bryce Harper, you're going to be paying more. Regardless of the performance he has this year, he's going to get a certain amount of money just because of the name behind him.
That's true, and let me ask you this. Do you think this season will affect his value more than $100 million off what he was going to get?
Absolutely not. I don't think it'll affect it that drastically, but I think it'll kind of set off some red flags for some teams that'll make them a little less likely to give him that huge contract they were going to offer him.
So what do you think he'll make?
I think he's probably going to do like a 1 year kind of thing. He's going to test the waters. If he re-signs with the Nationals, I think he's going to do a big deal, lots of money. He's going to do long term, but if he's re-signing or if he's joining a team like the Yankees, there's been discussion about, or another team in the AL, I think it's going to be a short term, 1 or 2 years, and he's just going to kind of test out the waters for that team.
No way. He's signing probably around 8 to 10 years, no matter where he goes. He's 25 years old. He's going to lock up the money. He saw what happened this year and how they're talking about him losing a ton of money. He's not going to risk that again if he still has a chance to make a ton of money. 1 year, you can rebound with his low batting average, but if he struggles next year and the year after that, he's not going to get as much money because he'll be a 27-year-old. What makes him so valuable is his age, for the most part, because it's very rare to see a player that young as a free agent. So I think that it'll definitely be a long-term deal this time around.
All right. Next question.
All right, the next question is, due to all the major blockbuster trades this year, is there still a point of watching the 2018-2019 NBA season?
Well, this is just absolutely ridiculous. I used to be a basketball fan before, a really big basketball fan actually, before Kevin Durant went to the Warriors. And after that, me being very optimistic, thought to myself, well, maybe this season will go differently. Didn't go differently. Warriors won, obviously. Then they won again the next year. And then they add DeMarcus Cousins this year. This is absolutely absurd. And I think that Adam Silver needs to do something about this. Some official needs to do something about this because this is absolutely ridiculous. Basketball has just become boring, and the regular season literally has no meaning because you know who's going to win at the end of the year.
Well, what do you want Adam Silver to do about it? He can't do anything. It's a free agent signing. It's not a trade like Chris Paul was.
Well, Adam Silver can't do that much about it, but I think his actions are what led to this. A few years ago, I think in 2014, they upped the salary cap for every single team by $20 million immediately, which gave teams like the Warriors salary cap room in order to sign these big names. So I think what they should have done is they should have increased the salary cap over a few years so that big teams wouldn't have the advantage of being able to pull more big names into their organization.
See, I agree. The NBA sucked. But next year, I think there's some teams that have a better chance of competing than the past 2 years. DeMarcus Cousins is out until probably around February with this torn ACL he's coming off of. And, I mean, the Celtics, they're really solid. Kyrie will be back and healthy. they almost beat Cleveland without Kyrie, and I think they would have posed a better fight than Cleveland in the NBA Finals. Washington added Dwight Howard. I don't think they'll compete for the finals, but like they're also a good team to watch. And the Lakers have LeBron. Probably won't beat the Warriors, but again, it's going to be interesting. I'm not saying any team's going to beat the Warriors, but I'm saying you said, should we watch the season this year? And there's a lot to watch this year. LeBron, his first year in LA. Kyrie, hoping to stay healthy for his first playoff run with Boston. Some big names changing teams. Kevin Love signing his extension to team up with Colin Sexton, number 8 overall pick in Cleveland. And then Carmelo Anthony joining Chris Paul and James Harden in Houston. I think it's going to be very interesting. I don't think any of these teams will knock off the Warriors, but I think it'll be interesting to watch. And I guess what I was trying to say about DeMarcus Cousins is that it's not as unfair of a deal as some people make it out to be.
Thank you guys for watching. Leave some questions you'd like us to answer in the comment section below. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe.